take advantage of those great programs. All right. Coach Mox and her team, they've signed this basketball. We're going to be raffling this. So if you've not already, dropped your name in the raffle box back there, you better run and do it because we're giving this away at the end. So that means you can't leave early. Okay. So a special welcome to our at-home guests who are joining us live this morning. We're glad that you're here. Welcome. I'd like to extend a very special welcome to Coach Mox, who is new to UVA. She's the 6th basketball women's coach here at UVA. I'm going to call her up in just a second and ask her a few questions as a way of introducing her. But I know that you will make her feel extremely welcome, correct? In advance. So we're really honored to have her. She said yes to us before she said yes to many others. So we're getting a sneak peek at her, and she'll be telling us about how she motivates her team and builds confidence in these young ladies. So I'm excited to hear from her today. So Coach Mox, come on up. All right. So, nope, you're going to be good. I think
I'm a little taller than you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you still hear me? Okay, so Coach Mox has one of these interesting names, right? So we're going to have her teach us how to say her name properly. So Coach Mox, tell us how to pronounce your name correctly.
Coach Mox. No. No. My first name, I got to take this off.
All right.
Sorry.
Here, you want to take this one? Take this one.
Sure. Got it. All right. Yeah, there we go. Okay, my first name is Amaka, so I'm Nigerian. My family all down the line is Nigerian. Amaka means beautiful in our language, Igbo, so obviously they knew. No, I'm just kidding. But Amaka, and my last name is Agugua, and that means the consoler or the comforter, and then hyphenated Hamilton because I'm married.
All right, great. So, and you just told us where you were born and raised, so thank you for that.
Well, no. I was born in Washington, D.C., grew up in Northern Virginia, so Herndon, Virginia, my whole life. But we would go back to Nigeria all the time as a kid. But my generation, we grew up here, but we would go back. Now, my parents and their generation, they grew up in Nigeria.
Very good. Thank you. Your bio reads like it's like your life story. You've done a lot in a short period of time. What would you highlight as your greatest accomplishment so far in life?
It's funny because people would probably say, some of the Sweet 16s and all that kind of stuff. But for me, my greatest accomplishment is my son. That's my heart and soul. And my husband. But, but my son and just bringing life into this world is something truly special, and, so that's what I would say.
Okay. We know you love basketball. Do you dream about basketball at nights?
Do I dream? Yeah, of course. When I sleep, a lot of times I lay awake and, you got plays running through your head or schemes or what you need to do to develop certain players, things like that. That's always in my head. Sometimes I'll wake up, I have, a certain set I want to run, and I might draw it up and then put it down, go back to sleep. So I guess you could say it's in my dreams. I just think that if you're serious about being great and mastering your craft, it's something that you're constantly doing. So, yes.
All right, I'll end with this question. Why UVA?
Why UVA? So those of you that I guess followed my career or knew what I was doing before here, I was actually blessed to have a lot of opportunities, and I don't take that for granted. And I probably turned down somewhere around 7 or 8 Power 5 schools, and it was because there was one that I wanted. and it was UVA. Growing up, growing up as a Virginia native, when I was growing up, UVA women's basketball, well, first of all, academics was always huge, and I'm going to talk about that. But UVA women's basketball was in the forefront of women's basketball. And I would still consider myself part of it. Final Fours, Elite Eights, you guys know the history. So that's what I knew. And there was just such a prestige behind the brand, and it was always a place that I wanted to be a part of. So I'm closer to home now, so my family can come as much as we want. Obviously, all the resources that's been allocated towards women's basketball here. Carla Williams, who is just first class. I fell in love with her. Tremendous leader. She's a tremendous leader. We're right in a kind of a hotbed for recruiting, close to DMV area, the Carolinas, even New York. So it just has everything I think, I would need to be successful. So it was a no-brainer for me when Carla came calling.
Okay, I'm going to turn things over to Coach Miles. Please make her feel really, really welcome again.
Thank you. All right, so the title of this, I guess you could say, is Bigger Than Buckets, because we say that a lot. It's easy to talk about X's and O's, basketball stuff, but not a lot of coaches spend time on the other things, and the other things are equally as important to me. So being able to prepare our student athletes for life, being able to help them persevere through adversity and learn the coping mechanisms and the skills they need just to be successful, independent women in society, to me is equally as important. So that's the part I'm going to talk about. You guys will hear and see a lot of the basketball part, but you don't always see the other side. So that's my little guy. That we talk about a lot. Now, family is the most important one, and that stems from, I guess my upbringing and then me just developing along the way. This is my 17th year coaching Division I, and just developing my philosophy along the way. But family, I come from a huge family. I have literally like 100 first cousins. I'm not even joking, on both sides. So it was me, my brother, and sister. My mom, she only had us three. She had us all in residency. She was, back then, you weren't even really supposed to have kids in residency. She was a surgeon. She passed away in '08, but she was like in 2008, she was the center of our family. And so she had me, my brother, and sister, but she wanted more kids, obviously, and some of her siblings' kids were struggling in Nigeria. So she adopted 6 of my cousins. And then we all kind of grew up. So those are like my siblings as well. And then when I got to high school, she adopted 2 more of my cousins. So we always had a huge family. And it was always that blood is thicker than water type mentality. Now, I had best friends outside of my family too, but that was huge. And then if you wanted to do anything extracurricular, you had to make sure you were getting good grades. So academics was always in the forefront. And then, so basketball. So that's where that philosophy comes. It stems from how I grew up and just morals and values that were instilled in me. So it's funny because even when I'm talking to recruits and I lead with, we have a family environment, family atmosphere, it almost sounds cliche, because most coaches say that. They don't always live that, but most coaches say that, and then kids get somewhere and they can't even go in the head coach's office, or, it's not an open door policy, that kind of thing. So I tell recruits, you should ask what makes them a family. Why are they saying that? Because for us, our culture has already shifted here in our women's basketball program. I'm really proud of the buy-in and how committed our players, our student athletes are to the culture that I'm instilling. But for us, we got to work at it. You can't just say you're family. It's an everyday thing. It's an evolution. And so we work at it. We do a lot of team bonding. Some that follow on social media, you see some, but you don't see all. We do things where we can have fun, but we also do things where we can grow and understand that people come from all walks of life. So we want to make sure we understand that they may not see something. Perception is reality. Somebody might not see something the same way as you. You say tomato, I say tomato. But, and right now, there's an argument about caramel or caramel. And beside the point, I say caramel. So if you say caramel, sorry. But no, it's really important to understand everybody's different. Everybody's upbringing was different. Some people are a product of their environment, things like that. So we do a lot of things that help us understand and realize the differences between each other. And accept. That's a big thing. But then we also do things where I position them or put them in positions to give and take constructive criticism, because that's a big thing, especially being a part of a team. So all these things, the bonding, the understanding each other, the constructive criticism, all of those things help us continue to grow closer together, because I truly believe if kids are in an environment where they feel it's a safe environment, one, no judgment zone, there's genuine respect, love, loyalty, those things, then they can thrive in that environment. And it makes adverse times that much easier to get through. So that's why everything starts with that. The bond is very, very important, being each other's sisters, keepers, and things like that. So that's why family is very, very important. And that comes from the staff down. My staff, majority of my staff came with me. Well, actually, 5 of them came with me from Missouri State. One was in my wedding. One I coached at Michigan State. She was a top 10 WNBA draft pick, really good player. I coached her for 4 years at Michigan State. Another one I've known forever in the business. Those are my 3 coaches. And then it trickles down to the support staff. Everybody's connected. So you already have that built-in family bond within the leadership of the program, and then it just trickles down to the players. So that's been really good. We even have shirts. I don't know if people have been seeing them on social media, but when I got here, for workouts, I told them the only shirts I want them to wear are the ones that we gave them during the summer, and they're still wearing them in workouts. And, one says something that I say every day in the huddle, grind now, shine later. So it says grind now, shine later on the back. Oh, right on cue. Who's doing that? Grind now, shine later. Another one says family. Okay, another one says family. Another one says culture wins, because we talk about that all the time. Family, culture wins, grind now, shine later. Give. It says give in just big, bold letters, because I truly believe, in on the court, but in life, giving mentality, selfless mentality is what makes people successful, and not always wanting to take or be selfish. So we talk about that a lot. So that's why they have these shirts. And all of this ties into the bond that we're creating between our players. Which is something very unique and special. So when I'm recruiting, I definitely recruit people that fit that. So yes, you can be the number 1 player in the country, but if you don't fit our culture and you're going to come and be a bad apple, I can't recruit you. And then you can completely fit our culture, but if you're not talented enough, I can't recruit you either. So it has to be kind of a happy marriage of the two. So that's family. And then academics is a close second, especially being at UVA. Graduating with a UVA degree is a privilege, and it's going to set them up for life. So we talk about that all the time and take pride in that. It's funny because those of you that know Debbie Ryan, Coach Debbie Ryan, which we talk, you should. we talk a lot, and she's definitely a great supporter, and is just really excited about the direction the program's going in, and obviously she set the tone. But I got on her a little bit because she didn't recruit me out of high school, but and she should have. But we're past that. We're good now. No. But I would have loved to be here and just understand that, being a part of UVA athletics, of course, is elite, but academically, it sets you up for life. So our players understand that, and they pay attention to detail when it comes to that. Now, we do things to help motivate them, organize them on that front, because sometimes when you get into the flow of basketball, workouts, strength and conditioning, all that stuff, you can lose sight of that, or maybe, okay, I got an 8 a.m. class, but I'm tired, I'm going to sleep in. So we just try to make sure we stay on top of it on all fronts. Now, obviously, athletic department, the academic advisors that are allocated towards us, they do a great job of, working with our players, but we take it an even step further. So each assistant coach has about 4 or 5 kids that they're responsible for. So they meet with them once a week, just go over different things and make sure we're organized. And we make it competitive, because nowadays you make anything competitive, people really want to do it. So we have those teams, those academic teams, and then the highest cumulative GPA of each team at the end of each semester, I guess you could say, wins. So they win maybe like a steak dinner or whatever we decide it is. So they are serious about it, and they hold each other accountable. And did you study for your test? And did you So it's really, really cool just to see our players be as competitive in that area as they are on the floor. So academics is for them, because at the end of the day, unfortunately on our side, it's not like the men's side where you get drafted, you're going to be a millionaire, right? On our side, we're going to have some kids that get drafted. And at the end of the day, women's basketball, you have to get a job. Hopefully it'll change, but you're not going to be a millionaire. So I want to make sure when the ball stops bouncing that they're ready for that moment, whether it is after a 10-year playing career or 4 years of college. It's really, really important. So you got to make sure you take care of the classroom before you take care of what we're doing on the court. And then we also try to make it fun. Like, we have this program called the Smarties program. Like Smarties, little candy Smarties. So we get the big ones. They're like this big. And so if they get an A on a test or an A in a speech or exam, something like that, something big, then I'll recognize them in front of the team before practice or film or whatever. And I'll be like, oh, we got some Smarties in the house, And then I'll say, hey, so-and-so got an A on her history exam. And I'll throw out Smarties. Everybody claps it up. And then what you see is some of the ones, they're like, hold on, I got an A. Where's my Smarties? And wait. And then some of the ones are like, well, I'm getting my A next week, So it just add extra fun and motivation behind it, because I just think when you take things too serious, that's when it becomes overwhelming for them. So I just try to make sure that they are enjoying this journey along the way, but paying attention to detail. So that's really big. So that another program we do that goes hand in hand with academics it's another acronym, LAB, which is Life After Ball. That's our life skills program. Now, this is where we focus on a lot of the things that tie into bigger than buckets. So this year alone, we've done mental health, which we'll do a lot of those. That's really, really big right now. Mental health training, and we did finance. So there's going to be like about 3 or 4 levels of the financial one. But we started out with savings and credit, just so they can understand. They were all in there, taking notes, and they're, everybody, they love money, So now we need to understand how we manage our money and make sure that we are setting ourselves up for the future to do the things that we dream of and reach our goals. So that's really, really important. But there's a lot of things that I've done in the past that we're bringing back. So we did body language, training. We did self-defense. That was really big. We did cooking classes, proper ways to clean, proper ways to change a tire and oil and all that stuff. We did, Clinique came in and did skincare. And some of this stuff is, for the future. A lot of them want to stay out in the sun and not use sunscreen and things like that. Well, that can have long-term effects. We did sleep training and just what are the short-term effects of sleep training sleep deprivation, where maybe you can't focus in school and on the court, and then the long-term effects, and the health risks and things like that. And they're like, oh, wow, I need to go to bed earlier, So just a whole laundry list of things that we go through just that I believe will help them be successful when that ball stops bouncing. And this has nothing to do with basketball. This has to do with investing in people and making sure they're prepared for the future. So that's really, really big. And they like it too. And sometimes it comes after a long day, but when they get in there, they're paying attention, they understand, and they're learning. So that's the biggest part of that. The mental health piece of that is crucial because we talk a lot about that. Just the coping mechanism. I think this generation struggles to cope. So a lot of it stems from social media. So we talk a lot about social media because they're comparing themselves to something that's not even real. So, I want to look like this, or I want to get this many likes, or I want to do this, and I want to do that. And when they don't get that, it's almost like their whole world comes crashing down. So, there's a lot of things, especially in athletics right now, not just women's basketball, athletics across the country. Kids struggling, committing suicide and things like that. So, there's warning signs, of course, that everybody tries to pay attention to, but you never know if, that can happen anywhere. So we try to do as much as we can to bring awareness to mental health, one, and help them understand how to cope. And that's where the whole persevering through adversity comes through. And that's where also having a support system with people that genuinely care about you, love you, are feeding you great energy, and respecting you, loyalty, all that stuff. That's where that helps them feel more comfortable to come to us when they're really, really struggling, rather than, well, I can't tell Coach that, she might get mad, or whatever it is. So I just think the mental health piece is very crucial right now. And Carla Williams, she does a great job. They just hired even more psychologists for the athletic department. So we're paying a lot of attention to that. But what can I do as a coach to help them understand they matter, and help them walk with that confidence no matter what happens? Because, again, we all know life is hard, and there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to lose people you love, or you're going to maybe lose your job, or whatever's happening. There's so many things that can just kind of derail you. So we talk a lot and put them in positions where they have to work through it. They have to find ways to cope. So I believe that you can use basketball to help them do that. Basketball is a microcosm of life. So when we're in basketball practice, sometimes I put pressure behind drills, because just yesterday, actually, in practice, I'll give you an example. We have a free throw drill. There's some things that are non-negotiable for me. Like defense, rebounding, free throws, things like that. We got to be able to do that, okay? All right. I can coach you through the X's and O's of offense and all that, but we got to be able to pay attention to the details on that side. So anyway, we're doing a free throw drill, and it's basically they split up at each basket in our practice gym, and they have to shoot a free throw. Next person shoots. They have to make 16 in a row in 3 minutes. So on a good day, they'll just make them real quick. On a day where they're missing, they start to panic, start to freak out, and then they're like, hurry up, and, everybody's, panicking. So I'm like, okay, you guys got to understand how this translates in a game, right? We get fouled, it's the end of the game, or it's a crucial time in a game, and we get on the free throw line and we panic, and then we miss a shot. Or we learn how to deal with that pressure right now, because there's pressure behind it. You don't make the goal, you got to run. Nobody wants to run. So there's pressure, and when we start working through that pressure when we're outside of the moment, then when we get in the moment, it all carries over, and that's what we try to do. And we do a lot of that, like even just at the end of a drill, I'll call somebody's name, they got to make a free throw. I might be like, down by 1, 2 shots. They got to make both for us to go, get a drink, otherwise we run. So when we first started, not run them in, just down and back, but they're tired, and nobody wants to do that. So when I first got here, it was like everybody's at the free throw line. Oh my gosh, I don't want to make my teammates run. And then now they get up there, they step up there with confidence, they make the free throw, and everybody goes and gets a drink. So that's just a microcosm of obviously what's going to happen to them in life. So if they learn now when they hit a wall how to get through it, when it happens in life, they'll be all right, rather than panic, or give up on life or whatever it is. So it's really important to me that I use this game to help teach those lessons. So that's just a little piece of how we do that. And then, in that order of family academics, obviously basketball is last in that order, but it's certainly not least. That's a big reason why they're here. But I think what's unique in the way that I approach this game and the way that I coach them is I want them to enjoy the journey. I want them to create lasting memories. Let's create these lasting memories. Let's use this game. We put so much into this game and so much into our craft and practice and working on free throws and working on stuff on your own. Let's enjoy this. Let's have some fun. So in practice, everything is competitive. We already have changed the mentality of we want to win. Like they want to win. And they have fun with it. Winning's fun. So like in practice, if we do a drill, if it's a shooting drill, there you go. If it's a shooting drill, there's going to be a winner and a loser. So either you got to make a certain amount in a row, or you're going against the scout team, or whatever it is. So it doesn't matter. There's always a goal. So we're not just doing something to say, hey, we did this for 5 minutes. Okay, go get water. There's a winner and a loser. You have to win. So now they want to win every drill. And I will have some open practices, and people can come and see practice. If you see how hard they compete in practice, you will be shocked. I mean, they're going after it, and when somebody makes a shot, they're all jumping on them and celebrating them and giving to each other. And I think that that's huge. That is part of a culture shift. Rather than let's all be tight, let's be on eggshells, let me be about myself. Oh, I'm mad at myself because I missed that shot, but somebody else made it, and I'm not going to talk to her because I should have made mine, and things like that. That is not how we operate, and that's a big part of being successful. When you can give and have that next play mentality and enjoy what you're doing, you're going to want to do it. If it feels like it's, labor, or I'm going to get yelled at or whatever, then kids are not going to want to give their all. So being able to come up with creative ways for them to enjoy the process is huge. And understand that it's not going to be just a light flip of the switch. I say all the time, if you follow us on social media, you'll see it. Progress is the process. And that's what I want them to understand. Let's just get a little bit better. Let's just get a little bit better every day. We don't have to be there yet, right? We don't have to set the bar all the way up here for ourselves individually. Like, if you're a shooter, you don't have to shoot 100%. That's pretty hard to do in a practice, right? But why don't we get to 40%, 50%, and then let's just continue to make progress and understand that's a big part of the process of being great. So we talk a lot about that. And then, when we travel, like next year I can't say we haven't signed the contract yet, but we're traveling to an island. Yeah. So when we travel, I like to get there, day or 2 days early or whatever, so we can do some things together and have that team bonding time. That's really, really important. So whether it's like jet skis and all that stuff, let's have some fun. And then we get to business, and then we go win that tournament and keep it moving. So whatever we can do to create those memories is very, very important. Very important. And the way that I coach them through some of that stuff is important. So my philosophy when it comes to coaching players, people in general, is a lot of people say, oh, it's just tough love. Suck it up. It's just tough love. I'm sure we've all heard that. Well, I reverse the two, and I say love tough, because I believe if you establish, again, a genuine foundation of love, respect, loyalty, a safe place for them, you can be tough on anybody because they understand where you're coming from. They understand, coach isn't trying to demean me or degrade me or what's wrong with coach or whatever. So I've never, I hope it stays that way, but I've never had any kind of real miscommunication with any player I've coached, because I will be tough on them, but I'm going to pour into them and invest in them way more than that and build them up. You know, a lot of coaches believe, and I've heard this a lot, especially old school ways of thinking. Not that anybody in here is old school. But a lot of coaches think that they can't give or take confidence away from players. And I believe you can do both. I really, truly believe you can do both. So I focus on giving them confidence and empowering them to believe that they can be what they want to be. They can do what they want to do. It's not going to come easy. Got to work. Instead of taking their confidence. So, example, if I'm, in practice and I'm getting on somebody, you didn't rebound or whatever, you didn't run the floor, and I'm on them. They understand that they need to be, I'm just trying to make them the best basketball player they can be in that moment. Like, they needed to be doing something different than they were doing. Even if they're upset with themselves or whatever, they understand that. Or if it's a kid that's an A student but she's getting C's or whatever it is, she understands I'm on her because she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing, and she needs to be the best student she can be in that moment. Or if it's a kid that has a bad attitude or, being defensive or whatever it is, they understand I'm trying to get them to be the best person they can be in that moment. So the reason why they understand that is because I spend time with them and love them. Truly do. I mean, the fundamental reason why I coach, I want to win, I'm competitive, and we're going to win, but the relationship building and the mentorship piece is why I do this. So it takes a lot. It's a lot to, I have my family too. But I take them out to eat. We have meetings, we have fun, we have things where I learn about them, I ask questions, I care about their families, I talk to their families, things like that. So they understand that I really am investing in them as people, which is important in being able to coach somebody. So if I do get tough, have to get a tough moment or make the team, run or do a drill over or whatever, you see the team kind of raise their level and be like, hey, y'all, we got to be better. We got to be better rather than I'm not listening to coach. So I think the key to getting people to buy in is investing in them. That is the key. And that's from the staff down. There's been, even since we've been here, there's been a lot of things that have gone on our staff. Some have lost loved ones, some have, had trouble, some have gone through relationship situations, all that stuff. And I try to be there for everybody. I try to be understanding. I try to give people time when they need it. I think the biggest thing, and I tell our players all the time, you are people first. And I always keep that in the forefront. And people, you have good days and you have bad days. Nobody's perfect. Maybe you had 5 tests that week and you couldn't focus in practice. Well, let's work through that. Now, of course, I hold them to a standard, and if you see us practice, we practice hard. We go hard, but shorter periods of time. You're allotted 4 hours to practice. We'll go hard for 2 hours or less because we go hard. You can't keep them in there that long, and also their attention spans. but we go hard, and sometimes things are tough. But they have fun through the process, and they understand that I'm just trying to help them reach all their dreams and goals. We had individual meetings, set your goals. What do you want to do individually? What do you want to see our team do? And, unanimous team goals were win the conference championship, get to the NCAA, get to the Sweet 16, win a national championship, all that stuff. So you can't just say that and not put in the work, right? We got to be prepared, and then confidence comes from preparation, and then we got to be able to play through adversity. Push through adversity. And once we do all that stuff, we won't only be successful here on the court, but then they'll in turn be successful in life. So that's kind of an overview of the way I get them there. And it's been really good so far. So I could talk about this all day, but I want to leave some time for questions. And okay. Thank you.
Raise your hand and I'll bring the mic to you.
The men's basketball team just got back from a trip to Italy, and so I'm just curious to know if you would take your team on a trip, and if you did, if you planned a trip, where would you try to take them?
That messed up my joke. I said, yes, we just need some donations. Nice of you to offer. No, NCAA allows you to do a European trip, or foreign trip, I should say, every 4 years. So we can do one, and we're working towards one. There's a lot of places floating around. I've done a bunch in Italy. I think I've been to like every city in Italy. So selfishly, Italy's one of my favorite countries, by the way, but selfishly, I would like to see something else. But I've done Italy, Paris, England. We've done a lot in the past over my years. But one thing that I've always wanted to do, and I thought would be a great experience, would be either Greece or Spain. And there's one other one we were talking about that I can't even remember now. But, you know, you never know but where we're going to end up going, but we are definitely going to do one in the next probably 2 years.
My understanding is that your practice facilities are under JPJ, and I've never been down there, but is that the background of the slides that are showing behind you? Is that from your gym space and workout space?
Now, I am a mother and I have eyes in the back of my head, but I didn't see the slides. But yes, she said it was. We have great facilities. It is something that you all need to see. We're just truly blessed. We actually have a lot of schools, Power 5 schools, have one gym that both the men and the women share, and we have our own gym. It's actually a court and a half, and then the men have their court and a half. So we're just blessed with great facilities down there, and our weight room is first class. That is probably the best weight room I've ever seen for men's and women's basketball. So that is what you're seeing. I think you're seeing some of the weight room too. Yep. So yes.
We had great success with our men's basketball team winning the national title a few years ago. We were so happy about that. But what is your expectation within the next 5 years? Do you see us Elite 8, 16, or beyond?
I do, honestly.
Right.
You know, I truly believe I know how to position people to be successful, and you know, X and O wise and all that stuff, but then also motivation wise, empowerment wise, and we're great at recruiting. I love how my staff gets out there, finds the talent, finds the good kids. You know, when I was at Missouri State is technically a mid-major, but when I was there, we were ranked in the top 25 my whole time there. You know, obviously went to the Sweet 16, won conference championships and all that. So we weren't picked to do that. You know, when I got there, we weren't picked to win the conference championship. We did. You know, we had no kids on any all-conference team at all when I got there, and then we ended up having Defensive Player of the Year twice, Player of the Year. First team, we had about 4 or 5 kids on first team, Newcomer of the Year, things like that, because we spent a lot of time on fundamental individual development. Obviously on the court, but then off the court too. So I'm just really confident in what we do. Obviously, you don't want to make promises like in 4 years we're going to be cutting down nets, but it's possible because of the way that we operate.
We hear a lot about the image likeness stuff, and I'm wondering how you're handling that, how much that's an issue for the girls. Are they actively involved in it? Is it something that's changing how the game goes, or is it background?
Yes, it is changing how the game goes. Can I have that? Sorry. Does that work? Oh, okay. Sorry, I got a bad back. It is changing how the game, that's better. Okay. Thank you. It is changing everything, actually, just collegiate athletics in general. You got kids that can make a lot of money, which is why we are focusing on financial side right now. Yes, we do have a lot of kids that are involved in it. Sam Burnell has 1 million deals. We all know Sam Burnell. You know, we have some other ones too, but I think there's ways to get involved. First of all, if anybody wants to get involved in that, I'm choosing my words wisely because we can't talk a lot about it from coaching standpoint. We're not allowed to be involved. But there's ways for you all to be involved. And then we have somebody in the athletic department that kind of facilitates that, and we work with collectives and third parties that help our student athletes get those opportunities. But the one I mentioned, Sam Burnell, because she's a hometown favorite, everybody knows, And, so she's getting hit up left and right. She actually hired a marketing company to help her sift through everything because it was becoming overwhelming. But kids can make a lot of money in college. They can. I mean, there's kids that are making $1 million deals and things like that. So we encourage it because I think it helps. It helps them obviously plan for the future, save, things like that. It helps them with apartments and stuff around here because it's very expensive. So it helps them live a little bit more comfortably. Some people are from, no money. Some people are from some money. So we encourage them to get involved in it. We just can't get involved in it. But where it's changing is not every coach is following those rules, so they do get involved in it. We had a recruit tell us that she went on a visit, and the coaches, I won't say where, but the coaches opened a briefcase of money and was like, if you come here, this is what you can get. So women's basketball hasn't typically gone down that road, and so just to see some of the stuff that's happening there. But we're never going to be on that side of it. I do things the right way because it's the right thing to do. And so does... Thank you. And so does Coach Bennett, so does Coach Elliott. We all talk about that. So we're going to do things the right way. And that's what UVA, UVA that's our brand. That's what we stand for. But yes, it makes it difficult because sometimes recruits are expecting that. So what are you going to give me? And no, I mean, we're not getting, you can come here and work for your deals the way that you're supposed to, the way that the rules and the legislation is written, but we're not going to hand you a briefcase of money. Well, then I'm going to go there. Well, you might lose that kid, but is that a kid you want in your program anyway? So it is changing things. It's making it a little bit more dirty, I guess you could say, but if you do it the right way and you follow the rules, I think it can benefit our student athletes.
I actually have two questions for you. Number one, how did you become involved or attracted to basketball as a kid? And number two, how do you take care of yourself in the midst of everything you do?
Good question. Soccer was my first sport because, I'm Nigerian and you just got to play soccer. But that was my first sport. Then I grew. I was about this height in 6th grade, and they wanted me to be goalie. And I was like, no, and then they sat me in the goal. And I have really good hand-eye coordination, big hands and things like that. So they sat me in the goal, and I was so bored. I was just sitting down in there, and the game was going on until it got on my side. Then I would stand up, save the goal, sit down. So it's like, this isn't for me. This sport isn't for me. Sorry. No offense to soccer, but so somebody was just like, I used to play with my brother a little bit. I have an older brother. And then they were like, why don't you try AAU? And I realized that, my family's really athletic. And I realized how athletic I was because actually I'm about 6 feet, but I have probably I think it's like a little over 6'4" wingspan. And I could dunk, right? Like I dunked the basketball in my freshman, sophomore year of high school. So when I started doing things like that, I was like, oh, I was like, well, this could be something, and I started having fun with it, basically. But then I've had 6 knee surgeries, and I blew my knee out, got dropped by all the Power 5 schools, things like that. That's how I ended up mid-major. But, that road took me to here, and it made me love coaching because I never knew I wanted to be, growing up, the first woman in the NBA. And then WNBA came about, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, So I remember when the WNBA came about, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be in the WNBA. And then, my knees and all that stuff, it just didn't go that way. So I got my senior year, I was hurt, blew my knee out, and my coach made me a student assistant coach. And then I just started seeing how my teammates were responding to me and just the mentorship piece of that, and I fell in love with it, and I'm like, I want to coach, and that's kind of how that came about. But so that's how I started playing basketball. And then your other question is, I need to take care of myself better. Like I said, I've had 6 knee surgeries, bad back, and things like that. But I don't know. I need to do better with that. I put everybody else first, because it's obviously I pour into my family, my son, my husband, my family, but then also my family here and student athletes and all that. So I'm trying to be more serious about it. I just started going to PT, physical therapy. So I'm trying to get myself together, but, I got to do better. That's the only way I can answer your question. Yeah.
Have you talked to Dawn Staley, and if so, what'd she have to say?
Yes. Well, I actually knew Dawn Staley before I got here, but she called me the day the announcement went out. She knew before, but she waited till it was out on social media and told me that I was the right person for the job, and takes a special person to be at UVA, and she's really proud. Any way she can help, she wants to. I said, well, just one of those All-Americans, send them this way. She said any other way she can help. No. But no, Donna's great. Obviously, legend here. She was awesome. Debbie called me that same day. Actually, that same day, Debbie called me, Debbie Ryan. Dawn, Tammy Reese, Wendy Palmer, Val. They all did. They were all very, very excited. Wendy Palmer is actually a really good friend of mine. We coached together at VCU. That was my first job, so a while back. But yeah, they've been great. The alums have been great. And I mean, even beyond them, those are some of the notable alums, but some of the ones that maybe don't even get the most credit, they've reached out. We've done alumni Zooms. We've done all kinds of stuff. So it's been just a welcoming feeling. Okay.
Last year was rough. From a fan perspective, it was very intimate, though. I hope you'll join us. But watching the players really struggle and want to do great, and then having to inherit these players whose confidence had been really shaken, how has that journey been, and where are the players at now?
Yeah, well, I wasn't here last year, so I don't really spend a lot of time on last year. I do know Tina. I know of her. She's a Hall of Fame, was a great player, but I don't really talk about what happened because I wasn't here, so I don't want to do that. But where I focus their minds on is believing in themselves, one, playing through mistakes. So we say next play mentality. A lot of them really, when I first got here, really want to do well, really want to impress me. And if they miss a shot, they're like, oh my gosh, they're dropping their head and things like that. So we have to work on the little things, just with them to, keep your head up, walk with that confidence. You're not going to make every shot. I mean, literally, if you're shooting a 40% as a three-point shooter, that's a good percentage, which means you're going to miss 50, 60% of your shots. So you got to be okay with missing a shot in practice. This is before the lights get on. So we just work on the little stuff there. And then, again, all the other things that I've said throughout this lecture is helping them walk with more confidence. But now they're starting to kind of police themselves, and they see somebody dropping her, hey, pick your head up, or hey, next shot, you got it, I believe in you. So now they're getting that feedback from each other, which is helping them thrive a little bit better.
Great. Well, before we let you go, will you pull our raffle prize winner?
Yes. Thank you, everyone, though, for coming. I really do appreciate it. See you at the games. Go Hoos!
And the basketball goes to Liam Nugent. Win. Yay. Excellent. On behalf of Lifetime Learning and the Alumni Association, we want to give you a little token of appreciation. Thank you so much. Thank you. And you all have a great day.
problem.